I am a senior health reporter at Insider. So I can work with people who want to perfect narrative stories, or maybe they have a story idea they haven't even started yet, but want help kind of putting the first words on the page, or cover letters, or maybe even a news story that they need to condense from 1,000 words to 500. And I would say ultimately, or more broadly, I try to kind of step away from kind of line editing and doing that kind of editing that you would get maybe in your job, but step back and really take advantage of the fact that I'm face-to-face or video-to-video with you, and get to know the person I'm working with, what is their motivation in general, and what are their motivations with the particular story. You know, what do they think is most interesting, whether it made the page or not, and kind of just talk and get to know them better. And I think ultimately talking to a relative stranger kind of can spark ideas and insights and new ways to frame things that maybe you didn't even think about before. I really like just being able to work with younger or just less experienced writers. In my day job, I've kind of made the decision to remain a reporter and not take on managerial roles, even though I've been in the field for about a dozen years. And so it's really nice to be able to kind of mentor and help people younger than me, or again, maybe older but less experienced, outside of my job, since I don't really get that in my day job. I was probably within a year of my first job in media, and I thought that it was a good idea to subscribe to the dictionary.com word of the day email, and then try to put that word in whatever I was writing that day. And if you've ever looked at these words, they're pretty obscure. And my editor rightfully told me to cut it out pretty quickly. She caught on and noticed that I was using, words that I would never actually say, and I hadn't even known 1 minute before. And so I think the broader lesson is just don't try to sound smart, try to sound helpful, try to sound conversational, try to sound like you, try to sound understandable, and trying to impress people, they can see through that. I draw inspiration from so many places, mostly just my daily life. I live in New York City. Pre-pandemic, my commute even was a huge source of inspiration, because I would run across the bridge into Manhattan to get to my office there, and then I would take the ferry back home to Brooklyn and see the New York skyline, and maybe have a beer on the boat on the way home, and just kind of being out in the world and having that space to spark your senses and see things and overhear conversations, and just have a little bit of mental space just brings so many ideas. One of my favorites was a story that I did for the Washington Post magazine probably 10 years ago. And it was about competitive pole dancing. And it was, the final product was really fun, but it was more of the process that I have such good memories of. My editor and I just had such a unique connection, and I was in my mid-20s, he was probably in his mid-50s or 60s, and for some reason we just had the same sense of humor, and we would go through these drafts on the phone and laugh, and then this phone would go silent because we were both couldn't catch our breath, because we thought the same exact thing was so hilarious. And ultimately it was a pretty grueling process. His editor didn't like the original draft that we both liked, so I had to completely start from scratch with a new angle, with the same deadline, and that deadline actually corresponded with me finishing my graduate degree and having deadlines for that. And you can't make this up, I was living in an apartment next to a strip club, and the strip club collapsed which put our apartment in danger. So my roommates and I had to evacuate for a couple weeks, leaving all of our things in there, including computers. And so it was just like chaos in my personal life. And somehow I managed to meet that deadline with everything else that was going on. And so I'm quite proud of that story.